Have on our bench racing hotline, Bob Pockcrass joins us. And Bob, are you tired of doing interviews yet?
Well, a little bit, but hey, as I've been telling people, I ask a lot of crew chiefs and drivers when they're in the firestorm to talk to me. So if I'm in the middle of a firestorm, I need to man up and answer the question.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about today because I have followed some of the interviews that you've given, and I think you've handled your situation just as professionally as you do everything else you do. Does it kind of give you a different perspective of what some of these guys are going through? Maybe what Kurt Busch is going through this week, although he's probably not given any interviews.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't. I mean, this is a situation where I feel like I did the right thing, so it's not as hard to do as opposed to maybe a situation if I felt like I had done the wrong thing.
Yeah. We are talking with Bob Pockcrass from the Sporting News. And, Bob, did it surprise you at all that Kurt got suspended?
Yeah, it surprised me. I didn't think NASCAR was going to suspend him. I did not advocate a suspension. I viewed it as maybe Kurt being Kurt with a little bit of extra spice,
Yeah.
I didn't feel threatened. So I told NASCAR when they asked me to meet with them on Sunday morning that, I don't. If they want to if they're thinking about penalizing him, don't penalize him based on like my feel that like I had hurt feelings or that I felt threatened. If they chose a felony to choose it because either A, that's just not the way they would want him to act, or B, they were concerned that maybe something would be that the incident would be escalated in the future.
Looking from, if you can, looking at the situation from the outside, if you were a reporter not involved in the incident, do you think Kurt was suspended because he actually acknowledged his probation during the incident?
It's really hard to get into NASCAR's mind.
Yeah.
Right? But I think this was, I would say, I'm pretty sure this was a cumulative penalty based on things in the past, and they already had been penalized in the past for the way he acted towards the media member, and I think if I had to guess, I would say I guess that they believe that their last message was not heard, and so they gave a sterner message.
All right, we're going to ask you one more question about this, and then we're going to ask you about Dover.
Okay.
Do you think? Because I've heard this from others in the NASCAR media community, whether it's bloggers or commentators of others. Is Kurt Busch good for NASCAR? Even though this issue, is he good for it because of his brashness, his controversy?
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I think people watch NASCAR for personalities, especially because, as I tell people, we can't interview engines, we can't interview tires, we can't interview suspension pieces. So people root for and or against personalities. And Kurt Busch is a personality with a lot of talent, and so he draws interest. So I think he has a lot of qualities that make people want to watch the sport. And I don't know whether this will attract this specific incident would attract more people to the sport, but I think overall, he is one of those personalities. People either love him or hate him, and that's going to draw eyeballs.
What did you think about the racing at Dover this week? Was it, everybody has talked about the lack of cautions, and, this race starts out, and within the first, 10% of the race, you've got the big one. Does this appease those people who are wondering where the cautions and the wrecks are? Or is it just, is NASCAR a function of guys who are better at what they do now than they were 3, 4, 5 years ago?
I think that's true. I think maybe this race was more "quote unquote" racy than some others, probably due to the racetrack. I mean, typically, coming off of turn 2, it's sometimes hard to see, and when somebody spins, you can have a big wreck back there, and so you had that big one, and the other thing about Dover is that guys could kind of drive their way up through the pack a little bit. So, it had a lot more of the kind of racing that people wanted. So, I mean, I can't say that it's a sign of better things to come, but it's a sign that, hey, that, at Dover, you're able to have that action, with the current car.
What do you expect as the circus rolls on to Pocono with the repave? Expect anything terribly different than what we've had in the past?
I guess what you should is expect the unexpected at Pocono. Carl Edwards talked about how they're going into the 2 days of testing, Wednesday and Thursday, with no preconceived notions. They want to go out there and try everything because they figure nothing is going to be the same. And they want to be the team that hits on that on that sweet spot before everybody else does.
Bob, thanks so much for joining us. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah, we know you've been in demand, and we really do appreciate your time this week.
Thanks. I appreciate being on, guys.
All right, take care.
Pockcrass.
Bob Pockcrass.
Sporting News. Read his stuff. He's the best.